Welcome. Thank you for joining today. Today's Thursday, March 13th. I am so thankful for our panel members and those who are joining us in attendance for being here at our quarterly meeting of our bicycle industry retailer, growing ridership, and retailer foot traffic panel. Such an important topic, still talking with retailers as we're early into Q1 of 2025. And we need more riders through our doors. It's important to the longevity of our industry that we continue to grow this sport. This panel was formed just at the conclusion of 2024, and our first meeting was earlier this year, and I can hope to continue to see this panel thrive. Tremendous energy has gone into making this a platform that's a resource not just for the retailers, but for the industry at large. We truly believe at the NBDA that we work united, and when we work united, this collective conversation will propel us forward. We need everyone's great ideas. And with that, the panel members in attendance, they have volunteered their time. Bicycle Market Research, Rad Power Bikes, Specialized Bicycles, Aventon, Cycle Site, just to name a few of the panel members, retailers on the call, all here showing up because growing ridership is important to them, and it should be to you. So thank you so much. If you're viewing as a participant, thanks for being here, and we truly welcome your participation as we go through the event today. How you can do that is a couple ways. You can use the chat function, place any questions that you have or comments in the chat, or you can use the Q&A function. And as we go along, we'll either answer some questions live or some we'll just type an answer back. But we really do, we urge you to get involved in the conversation. We want to hear your questions, hear your concerns. We truly want this event to be leading towards something that's impactful. So a reminder that we're here working in partnership. The NBDA, we truly believe and value partnership and collaboration. In every event, whether virtually, in person, our goal is to bring together retailers and suppliers and advocacy groups so we can share what's working and what's not working. We can talk about optimism, we can talk about challenges, and together, having those conversations, we can come up with proactive solutions. So the format today is we have 3 topics, and we have panel members who will speak on those topics. During that time, that is their designated time to speak and share their opinions. And we just ask others to listen. You might not agree, but hearing other people's opinions will maybe, hopefully, get you thinking about things that could lead somewhere in the future. So let's just come in today with optimism and gratitude and just an open mind and see where we go. The 3 topics that we have on today's agenda were brought forward by our community, by the NBDA membership base. So these topics were suggested to us, and they were chosen at random. And every quarter, we'll bring forth more topics. So before the next meeting, we'll reach out to our community and say, what would you like to see the panel discuss this time? And if you have something, we urge you, please send us an email. Let us bring it forward to the group. So with that, on today's agenda, we have 3 topics. And how the forum will progress is I'll read the question that was brought forward, and then our panel members who have volunteered to speak will speak on the items. And then after that, we'll have some open conversations. So if our attendees have questions or our other panel members want to chime in, there'll be a great opportunity for that. So again, I'm just so thankful. I'm filled with gratitude for our industry and for the people who continue to show up and support the efforts of the NBDA and the industry at large. So let's move forward. Topic 1, building a cycling community from the ground up. Absolutely love this topic. The question that was submitted is what strategies can retail bike shops use to create and nurture a cycling community in areas where one doesn't already exist? And how can this lead to increased ridership and customer loyalty? So what strategies can we do to create and nurture where we don't have a community existing already? Thrilled to have 3 speakers on this topic, and speaker 1 is Jacob English of Mountain Road Cycles. Jacob, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. So I think the biggest word there is community, and then your biggest point is how do you foster something that maybe is not already there? And you have to look to what has succeeded in the past reaching out to communities. That might be a safe routes to school program. It might be a local high school program, or it could just be trail type of stuff. So with that being said, advocacy, I think, goes a long way in doing that. That makes a huge difference, whether it's your local council meetings regarding a trail network, whether it's a 4th of July parade. I think that really fosters everything. It is generational, and I think it can make a huge difference. Um, think about, I think about some of our clients that bring their kids. They were clients 20 years ago, and they're bringing their kids in for the 4th of July parade. Reaching out and being proactive, whether it's, maybe it's not necessarily in your exact hometown, but it's maybe a next door hometown, doing things like that. The one thing that I don't think works very well, teams can be difficult. We always try and work with local youth teams and things like that. That can be difficult. I find it more just fostering the environment of that local, that regional town that maybe is 5 miles from your store. Maybe they've never had a 4th of July bike parade. That type of thing, I think, makes a huge difference.
Excellent.
I mean, that's kind of my basic notes here. And also be part of the family. Again, going back to the word generational, be part of your client's family so that when somebody moves away to another job and then comes back to their hometown to raise their family, you're there for them. You're the bike store that they remember. And that's creating community again. And as silly as it sounds, like, we have a local newspaper in Chagrin Falls, Ohio that everybody reads. It's still a newspaper. Everybody goes to the gas station to get it. Everybody's got a subscription, but they are, I'm making this off the top of my head, but my Cub Scout den mother just came in with her grandson because she took us on our first bike ride. And actually, this is all her fault. We like that joke. You know, that's how you grow the community, because her son just moved back with his kids, and where are you gonna go? So that's how you keep the community going, and that's how you get new ridership, because those kids are gonna be riders well after we're gone. If we can attract them, get them excited, and have fun, and that type of thing.
I like that, Jacob. There's lots of great points you brought up there. Being proactive with events, reaching out to multi-generations, reaching to other nearby communities that might already have something and welcoming them into your community, and that advocacy piece. Yeah, I think you did a great job summarizing your thoughts there. Really thankful for you sharing with the group.
Absolutely, my pleasure to be here. I think it's just reaching out. Again, you got to expand your community a bit. You know, if it's the neighboring town that has a bike store, we're not trying to necessarily take their business, but if they're not willing to go to an event, we just built 70 bikes for a community 5 miles away. We weren't stepping on the toes of anybody. We were welcomed, but I expand, and and plus it's fun to be in the field. You know, it gets you out of the bike store on a busy week. You know, you're in the sun in a parking lot, but you're helping kids, that type of thing.
I love it, Jacob. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I'll turn it over now to our next speaker today, Mr. Matt Adams, Mike's Bikes outgoing president. Matt, thrilled to have you here.
Thanks, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect. Wonderful.
Awesome. Well, honored to be here. I'm Matt, been with Mike's Bikes for all of my career, 25 years up until a couple weeks ago, and turning over the reins to new leadership, which is exciting. But this topic is near and dear to my heart. We've built Mike's Bikes on community engagement. We've got stores kind of all over Northern California, now in Colorado, and they have a lot of different flavors, suburban, rural, urban. So the communities around them are different. But the thing that we have found consistently is it's super important to have an internal champion, somebody that really cares. We have a wide range of skills and personalities amongst our store managers, and as much as we want to all push them to do great things in their community, those of them that care about building the community and have the energy and the passion and the desire to be out in front, they take the lead, and those stores end up being a lot more successful in this. So whether it's you or one of your staff, somebody has to really want to be kind of a face to go out there and build these relationships. The question was, how do you build a community when there isn't one? And I guess I interpret that to be like, maybe there's not a defined community. There's not a bunch of teams and clubs and events already happening, but inevitably this sport is very social. People ride bikes together. So even if there's not a defined community, there's a group of dads that are meeting for a Wednesday night mountain bike ride. There's parents that ride their kids to school. There's these little clusters. So finding where people are already meeting, and then how can you nurture that, support that, and grow that. Even though in Northern California, we have obviously a very well-defined cycling community. But we're always trying to find the corners where there's not a community. So this works for us, but I think would also work where there's not necessarily a defined community. And that's just asking your customers. You've got experienced enthusiast riders. What do you want? What's missing? How can we create something for you and your friends, whether they're, road, mountain, whatever, or not, maybe not or, but ask your new riders, what are your fears? How can you help new riders grow? We've led rides on transportation e-bikes to the farmers market and showed people how to pack a pannier, showing kids how to get to school, or how to use the local bike infrastructure. If it's a new rider, how do you set up a ride? It's like, here's how you link all the crazy bike paths to get safely across town. So you can find a hole in the community, or if there literally isn't one, asking people what do they need. And then the last strategy that we have used that's successful is to lean into the local businesses, partnering with breweries, coffee shops, ice cream shops, donuts, all the things that make riding fun. We all ride in part for the fun after. So we've got a successful relationship with Equator Coffees locally. They sponsor our team, but we do a lot of rides, from their stores, but partnering with local businesses that are interested in promoting to their customers, and you end at their business or start depending on kind of what they sell. So those are some of the things that have worked well for us. So again, you need an internal champion, somebody that cares, that's going to put themselves out there. Finding where your existing customers are meeting and already riding, and how can you support that? Talking to your riders and ask what's missing in the community, what do they need? And then local partnerships, I think, are a great strategy also, because they'll help do the promotion to a whole other group of people that you might not be talking to.
I love it. I love this conversation, Matt. That was fabulous. And I'm just thinking, for the retailers who are in attendance listening, if you do even already have a community, these tips are really helpful to actually strengthen what you're already doing. How many of us have that internal champion, or are asking the customers how we can service them better or help them better? Matt, Mike's Bikes has really built a tremendous community, or kept that community growing over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, let's keep it. We have one more speaker, and then I'm going to open it up for some general conversation. So our final speaker on the panel today is Jeff Jinden, founder of Cycle Site, president of Cycling Designs. Jeff, thank you for speaking on this topic.
Thank you. Let me see if I can do this again. I failed the first time. So, Okay, can you see my screen okay?
We can't at this point, no. Go ahead and try again one more time, Jeff.
Um, share. That work?
It looks like it's coming. Okay, and then you want to, we can see it now. Yep, one more time, I think
Okay.
play mode.
Is it there?
Yes.
Okay.
Just,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Heather.
oh, that's okay. Attendees, Jeff's just trying to get the screen share going here. So Jeff, just on the bottom, again, to that right-hand side, you can, as you did when we tested before, just up slightly onto the PowerPoint display. Oh,
That's not it. What did I do?
it's okay.
Um, I don't know where it is. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, right there. Click, go back a little bit to the side. Yep.
Did that work?
Two to the right, and then click on that little button. To the right a little bit more.
Did that work?
Um, I don't know if this is,
Matt says it, he can see it.
we can see it. I mean, why don't you go ahead and go through it? It's not, I think that this is okay. I don't know if your pictures are in it though.
Oh, okay. Um, I had asked my marketing guru to give me an idea of what I should say in this presentation, and I actually tried to follow his instructions. But as in a lot of things in my life, I failed to do that. This is a story that begins with the STP ride, and here you can see that it's, believe it or not, 5:30 approximately in Seattle. It's cloudy but not raining yet. It's late June. It's cold. It's the start of STP, Seattle to Portland ride. And it was in the early days before they figured out that summer in Seattle starts on July 5th, not in June. And there's several thousand riders all lined up. We're ready to go. The bowling shift change is about to take place, so there's plenty of traffic. The slow group, that's me, ready to start, and off we go. We completely clog the streets, and we take charge, and it was exhilarating. The power of the bike. Cars could not get through, and plenty of the drivers were pissed. At that point, we could have gotten any couch potato to ride in those first few minutes. But after a few minutes, all we started to hear was car back, car back, car back. End of control, end of feeling completely safe. And by the way, if you see these two guys up front saying, hey, let's slow down, and they're going up a hill, I want to know what planet they're on. So one way to achieve safety is in numbers. And you see this in pictures in Europe all the time. They got a lot of people in the roadways. Nobody's going to interfere with them. This happens to be a picture of a bridge where a friend of mine that is so narrow that a truck came by and blew his contact out. So our situation on this side of the Atlantic is that it takes infrastructure to accomplish what the Europeans have already done. As an example, where I now live, we have a 40-mile trail that was initially a 50-mile trail, but two cities opted out. There are a few sections built after 30 years, but not much more than a quarter mile in any one spot. Like Wall Street, we have the mentality of looking out a month or a quarter, sometimes a year, but we don't take the long view. And our solutions are and have to be different. I need to interject here that, oh, by the way, these people are celebrating way too early. They got another 30 miles to go. My granddaughter, who lives in New York City, can take 40 minutes to drive to work, or can take 10 minutes on her city bike to get to work. This is my first candidate of somebody who will double your sales. As a supplier, or I should say prospective supplier, I'm in the same situation you're in. This means that we all go after the low-hanging fruit, meaning existing cyclists. It limits our market, and we need to break out of that paradigm. My co-founder or my marketing guy will tell you, not so fast. All we need to do is find a way to enable cyclists to see everything around them, and we're good. Pardon my shameless plug. I don't quite think that's it. So I want to get to my challenge here. Deep breath here, because this is a little weird. I want to talk about bike buses, and no, it's not this bike bus, although we would all like to be on this at some point. I signed up for this panel struggling. What could I say that would be constructive? For most of my life, I've caused some problems of what I said for my parents initially, and afterwards I paid the price. So we have been given a lecture on the bike bus concept, and I would like to take that one step further. Remember the crowd of cyclists that we mentioned, start of SDP? We need a concerted effort to introduce bike buses. I believe, looking at this picture, that it's in New York City. And to me, it's great that this is happening, but you'd think they would get a little more leeway and be given a green light. So I know that the staff of NBDA needs something else to do, like they need a hole in the head. So I think we're going to need some people to sign up to help with this idea. Now, I know everybody is not thrilled with doing bike buses. As you can see, this young fella is not thrilled, but these people are. And we know it works because George Lee has already proven that it works. So my proposal is that we go out to school districts and see what we can do to make this happen. So here you've got parents and kids alike in this bike bus. And my opinion is they shouldn't be stopped. They should get the green light. But that aside, you can see that there's a whole range of people here. And in order to get on the bike bus, they might have needed a new bike or a bike repair, or their kids might need a new bike or a bike repair. So it's a big deal to get this done. And I'm certainly willing to devote a little bit of time on it, but I happen to know that George Lee is the expert here, and I'm hoping he would lead the way. So here's a great picture, I think, of a pretty big bike bus. And here's another nominee of somebody who will double your sales. You can see this person is trying to look around and come up with a device to see who's lined up and who isn't. Shameless plug, we have a solution for that. And I would just like to turn it over and see if George would like to chime in and lead this thing.
Yeah, I'll definitely contribute. I've been running a bike bus in my local area for, gosh, coming up on nearly 2.5 years now, and it's super fun. I started doing it before I was aware of a resource I dropped into the chat, which is called bikebus.world. It's run by a guy called Sam Blato. He was actually in the second to last photo. He was at the front and leading the group. He was a school teacher. He has now stopped teaching full time and runs this non-profit focused on raising awareness of bike buses. They're so powerful for your local community because you get future customers in the form of the kids that join. You get parents that are stoked that there's this safe route to school for their kids. Elementary school kids are the target audience for it. And it just grows awareness in the local community. We now have safer routes to school because of the bike bus that me and now 10 other parents help lead. We have 4 or 5 different routes to the schools now. And we have a bike master plan in with our local municipality. It's a small district in with our local municipality to further enhance the safe routes to schools, and it's at the forefront of the mayor's agenda for infrastructure in the area. It also lowered the speed limit to 20 miles an hour in the city's jurisdiction that I live in, purely because of the amount of kids riding to school. So if you're not already involved in that in any way, shape or form, even if it's just providing support, like a bike to school day is coming up in, is it like 17th of May or somewhere around there? And just showing up at a local school with a tent to do checkovers of bikes free of charge, like just get connected. And the best way to start them is to reach out to the parent-teacher association or the teachers at the schools, find out who likes riding. You'll often find a teacher who's a great leverage point to establish that. That's my little bit on that. Thanks, Jeff.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you to our three speakers, Jacob, Matt, and Jeff. Any other panel members have ideas they want to share about what strategies retail shops could use to create and nurture a cycling community in an area where one doesn't already exist? Some great ideas there. Yeah, Peter from Bicycle Market Research, always great to see you. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't have a specific idea, but I did want to point out that in the research that myself and the NBDA and Ray Keener did on nonprofits, one of the pleasantly surprising things that came out of it was that most nonprofit organizations felt that they had a very positive relationship with for-profit bicycle stores near them. So if you're a for-profit bike shop, it's a great idea to reach out to those nonprofits and see what they're doing that you can collaborate with. They want to help collaborate. They want to have that positive relationship and already view it as a good one moving forward.
Excellent, excellent thought there. And I'm glad you brought that forward into the conversation. Thank you, Peter. And our consumer research, so the NBDA just did in December, we surveyed 1,000 US riders, consumers and Canadian. And the survey responses was to get a sense of where they intended to buy, how much they planned to spend, how they wanted to interact or engage with their local retailer or online retailer. Some really interesting feedback, and that's available to NBDA members at no cost on our website. But to pull out that the response from riders is that it meant a lot to them that their bike store, their local bike store, was involved in the community. That was one of the top ranked feedback points. So this conversation is really important because your riders, they want a sense of your involvement in the community. They want to see you partnering with other businesses. They want to see you taking that proactive approach to holding events or even creating a space at your facility where people can come and engage off the bike as well. So just some thoughts there. It might not work for every retailer, but we really do want to welcome our community in as family and look to start at this multi-generational level as well. All right, so with that, let's move to our next topic. The great topics today, thanks to the topics that were suggested. Topic number 2 is harnessing annual events to boost in-store engagement and increase ridership. The specific question was, how can retailers leverage annual cycling events to engage their local communities, drive foot traffic, and ultimately grow ridership? So annual events could be a number of things. I know many retailers use an opportunity to host a consignment sale, a tent sale, a pop-up event. There's rides, so let's see what we have. 3 speakers who are going to give their ideas. I think two are bike shop, well, 3 actually are retailers themselves sharing. So very excited to hear. Karen Talley from Cardinal Bicycle will be speaker number 1. Karen, thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you. All right, I'm going to share my screen. I used to be in a corporate background. I love PowerPoint. So, all right, does that look good?
Wonderful, thank you.
All right. So my name is Karen. I lead marketing and events for Cardinal Bicycle. I think I am the internal champion that Matt described. I also lead our Bike Fit studio. We're in Roanoke, Virginia. We have 2 stores. One does have a cafe in it, so we do have that extra space for people to come hang out. We do a lot of events. Last year, we did a series of gravel rides known as Gravel Camp. We also do a fundraiser ride on the Greenway, which is our local bike path. And over the winter, we had a series of events almost every week to keep people coming into the store, some bringing as many as 50 to 70 people in a very difficult winter. So I'm going to talk about how to decide what your events might want to look like for you and some tips on things that I've learned over the past couple years. So first, why do events? They can give people a goal, get them to ride more, create community. They can also be part of an overall marketing approach. And I think to help determine how you can expect to see benefits from events, it's important to understand where they fit into this approach. So you can kind of see at the top here, events fit into the branding and awareness part of marketing. So this is a diagram of a marketing funnel, and it shows the events up at the top. They help you reach more people and then engage and connect with them as they kind of move down the funnel to that final being in the store, making a purchase. But it does take time to get through that process. But the more people you bring into the process through the events, the more people you can get down to the bottom into your store. They also give you a more interesting and engaging thing to talk about in your marketing, in your social media, on your website, or even just with customers in the store and talking to them and inviting them back to this other thing to do with you. So creating and selecting events. So I think the most important thing to think about first is, what is your goal of this? Is it to bring customers in the door, create new riders, build community? And depending on what your goal is, that will depend on what type of event you might decide to do, whether it's in the store, somewhere else. And then also making sure your team is on board with that. These things can add a lot of extra work, and they might not result in a lot of extra sales the very next day. So it's a longer term thing that everybody does need to be on board with. And then consider what makes sense for your customers and your community. What demographic of rider are you trying to support, encourage, and grow? And don't forget about beginners. Increasing ridership is not likely to happen with the experienced people. We want to bring new people in. So remembering what it's like to be a beginner, what beginners need, what their different needs are. And then considering big annual events versus more frequent, smaller events, and what kind of resources do you have to put on these things, because they can be a lot of work. But as already mentioned, maybe you can partner on something that's either already existing, and that can help get you some benefit without taking on quite as much of the work and being able to reach more people through those partners. And then also considering there's a lot of events already out there for people. Those events are already for a fairly niche group within an already niche sport. Not everybody wants to suffer. Not everybody wants to compete. A lot of people just want to go ride around with their friends, meet new people, and eat snacks. Or just have a reason to be at your shop and be involved in something. We did a trivia night a few weeks ago, and people loved it and just hung out, enjoyed the space, the company. And if you do already sponsor an event, is there a way that you can do more with that event to bring people back? We have some that we're sponsoring, and we're trying to do like the packet pickup, or we're trying to turn our Saturday ride into a training ride for that event. So that event can benefit, and then hopefully we can also benefit too, getting more people to get ready for these events that other people are putting on in the community. So promoting your event could be its whole own topic. So I'm just going to try to highlight some things that I think are specific to bike industry type of thing. So easy sign up, clear event details, but really important on considering your target audience and having pictures that reflect real riders and groups that you want to grow and welcome. People want to be able to identify with the event, feel welcomed at the event, and you want to be able to reach as many people as possible. Our events are usually between 30 to 50% women. That's a lot of women. I attribute that to the types of events we have, non-competitive, at least for like our on the bike type of events. The way the events are presented and the support that already exists within our community. I think it might be a little unique. And just making sure your explanations are simple so anyone can understand them, especially people who are new to the sport. People may have never done an event before. They have no idea what bike reg is. They don't know how anything works. So make sure it's easy for them to understand. And then being sure to use inclusive language. Think about your audience and how they might react to event names or wording. I've seen event names with things like assault, suffer, crazy, mental. Not everybody is going to feel welcomed by descriptions like that. And again, don't forget about beginners, and that might not encourage beginners. And then, of course, email, social media for promoting. And again, you can work with community partners on promoting, and in-store and your staff. This is super important. Make sure your staff are talking about it. And that also goes back to making sure everybody's on board with your goal and why you're doing this. It might seem obvious to everybody on here because you're here and you want to increase ridership and actively increase foot traffic. But the responsibility on the retailer of actually doing these things is not obvious to everyone. So don't just assume that everybody understands your vision and this thing that you're trying to hold. And it could take time to get people to see the value in there. And so then measuring success. Did you meet that goal that you set initially? And was that goal realistic? If your goal was to sell 20 bikes off of a maintenance clinic, that might not have been a realistic goal. So just being realistic about it. And I like to do a follow-up survey depending on the event and just being patient. Sometimes it takes a long time to see the benefits of these events over time. One of my favorite examples is a couple that came to one of our gravel rides 2 years ago. One of them went off course. She got really mad. We were all freaking out about it. And then they have since bought 4 bikes and they come to everything we do. And another rider from a year ago, he's actually the one in the picture. I saw him the other day and buying a bike for his son there in the photo as well. So just a few little cute stories there. And I probably already went over on my time. So thank you.
Karen, you're perfect. If you have more slides, please keep going. Or if you're done, then we're good.
Nope, that was it.
All right. Excellent. I love this PowerPoint. And I saw some notes in the comments too. It was really great, Karen. Some great considerations, some things to remember there. Just getting, that promotional idea, what types of events. So thank you for the work you're done. And I'm a huge fan of Cardinal and the community that you have created. So glad to have you guys doing that in Virginia for us, for the industry. Awesome. All right, so one more speaker and then we'll open it up to some conversation. Matt Adams is going to speak again, Mike's Bikes, outgoing president. Matt, thanks again.
Thank you. Karen, that was great, and took about half of what I was going to talk about off my list. So thank you. I'll keep it short, but good stuff. As far as partnering with existing large events, right, that marketing funnel that you talked about, you're meeting new riders, you're going where they are, you're trying to get them in. So one of the things that we try to avoid is, we call it logo soup, just being another logo on a t-shirt, another shop, at rest stop 8 of a century. So, how do you stand out? How do you do something a little bit different? So one of the things that we try to do is work with the organizer to find a way to improve the event. Don't just show up and fix flats, but what can you add either at the start, the finish, or in the middle? Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's bacon and bourbon, or something. I mean, it can be a lot of different things depending on the event, but how can you elevate the event for the promoter, and then you kind of stand out that way? But then connecting those riders to come back into your shop. There's the traditional way, coupons or something that you hand out and they bring it back in to redeem it, or a QR code. But one of the things that we've done at the start and finish, when you have a little bit more time to engage, is to not just hang your cool bikes and show off your stuff, but play dumb fun games. Who can inflate a tube and explode it the fastest, who can change a flat quicker, who some contest where people sign up, or do a raffle where they're giving you their information and you can follow up later, or you're inviting them back in into your store. So that's sort of one direction. You're going out to an event where there's people, and then you're trying to bring those people in. But another way to leverage an event and flip that is to start before the event and to build a community and a group around preparing for an event. So if there is a big century, gravel race, whatever it is, at the end of the summer, you go out to your customers and try to build participation for it, a series of training rides or maintenance classes, or how to do, how to solve the problems that the riders are going to encounter. You're helping them progress in the sport. If they're trying to check their first century off the list or whatever their goals are, you're trying to help progress them. They become loyal to you as you help them have a successful event. So you can go out to the event, meet people, try to bring them back in, or flip it and start early and lead a group of people towards success at an event. So kind of two successful ways to look at how to connect riders, customers, and events.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Matt. I really like that outlook and those ideas, and building a community around preparing for an event together. That's something I've done in the past myself and found great success with. We have one more speaker on this topic, Ron's Bike Shop, Courtney Den, is that how you pronounce it? Sorry if I just butchered it on you, but thank you for, was that right?
No, it's Denny is how you actually say it. So
yeah,
it's a little tricky.
Thank you for being here, Courtney. And I know you've been doing some great work at Ron's Bike Shop. So really excited to hear what you have to share on this topic.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen here. As Heather said, I'm from Ron's Bike Shop. So we are a family owned and operated bike shop. My husband and I have owned our shop for the last 5 years. He's actually third generation, and we're going on 58 years in our community this year. So it kind of feels like we are starting a new cycling community, coming from first and second generation into third generation, with a change in the cycling community in the last few years. So this topic is extremely important to me. I'll say I'm the in-store champion of this, just because as the wife of it, I've taken on all of that role in the last few years. So at our shop, we are here in South Dakota, so we're very seasonal riding season. We do have some fat biking in our community in the winter, but unfortunately it's extremely cold. So we have to figure out how to harness those events throughout the year. So we, as a small shop, we're in a community of about 15,000. We have within 12 miles around us. How South Dakota was built was based on the railroad system. So communities were built every 12 miles. So there's a town of about 100,000, 60 miles away with a few shops in it. But we really are the hub of our community and the little shops around us. So things we've done is we've looked at our seasons. What can we do in the spring, the summer? What can we keep doing in the fall? And what keeps riders coming into our store in the winter? We've really taken a look at our community, and I would encourage all retailers to do that. What is important in your community? Why are people not riding, or why are people riding? Was a couple of questions that we really asked ourselves. We have a lot of great momentum in our municipality with 20 miles of single track that was built by our local bike club, and paved trails coming. So we've really said, how do we work with our community, with our chamber, with our local bike club nonprofit? How do we make cycling better? And how does that help us as a retailer? I think I'll just share a few stories, because really these stories are what have built our types of events that we host, and have really, we've listened to our community and we've said, what do you guys want? Just like Karen said, she will get a large group of women backing. We've also found that in our community by doing non-competitive events, but we also host competitive events. We started a mountain bike race. We heard for years and years and years, we need to have a mountain bike race in our community. So 4 years ago, we actually started the Palace City Mountain Bike Classic, where we have created different groups of riders to encourage non-competitive and competitive racers. And we really are trying to harness the e-bike community this year by adding an e-bike class. We're one of few races in South Dakota that offer that opportunity. So I encourage people, when you're looking at hosting events, to look at all types of riders. We don't have a very competitive group of people in our community, but we attract riders from out of town. We've attracted those riders. They become customers now. And we have a really big need for youth events in our community. So we've offered by hosting a mountain bike race and really honing in on our youth, we've been able to partner with our local bike club to offer that race free actually to riders. So we get youth interested in cycling. I listened to a speaker a few weeks back where we talked about, yes, we are all the cycling enthusiasts, but how do we get the bottom level? They explained the biking community as a pyramid. How do we attract that bottom level of that pyramid, which is youth, their parents? How do we keep them riding in our small enthusiastic cycling group at the top? So we think by doing that, we encourage you to look at events in the winter. We were looking over the past few years, how do we keep people coming into our shop in the winter? We've done this through ladies mountain bike fix it classes, ladies mountain bike events specifically for being fitted properly on your bike. We found a need that we listened to our community. Like I said, ladies said, I feel intimidated by riders. Can we have events specifically for us? So we've done a lot of that. The biggest thing for us is the community wanted a social ride. Like everyone on this call has mentioned, people like to ride together. People like to ride as a group. So a few years ago, we started an every other night Tuesday ride in our community that in a town of 15,000, we get between 30 and 50 riders every week. And we make those rides themes. We'll do ice cream rides, taco rides. We really try to look at the group riding. You partnering with local businesses. We start and end at the brewery. We actually team up with our local gym. Best friends of ours own the Anytime Fitness here. So we've really taken the community partnership of using the gym and us together to grow that event. And we'll tell these stories. My husband is listening on this call, but we will start every season with 20 or 30 people who are still riding department store bikes. And by the end of the season, they're now riding the bikes we're selling. And from season 1 to season 2 of riding, they're going from riding just your regular Rover Roam to getting into gravel bike riding and getting into mountain bike riding. And we've seen that with our events, just encouraging people that biking is not about being competitive, and biking, it can be so much more. Looking at your community, I guess the camaraderie of it and these social events is really what we've turned it into. A couple things I really wanted to touch on with the event side of it is just making sure you have a really good, strong event, pre-event, a really good pre-event, as in offering tune-ups for people to come in or encouraging them to stop into the store for a t-shirt or registration, anything you're hosting, a really good presence. And then we like to have some follow-up afterwards, some loyalty programs, I guess we're implementing this year, but I could talk for a long time about hosting events in your shop. I have seen it in a small shop, in a small community, how important they are because people truly want these events.
Courtney, thank you so much. I think that this is a great outline, and I like that your focus is on an ongoing event strategy. I like how you called that out and making sure that you get in touch with that pre-event engagement, day of event, and then post-event. And you actually called out like the winter events, like we need to get people engaged with us year round. So I like that you're looking at this as a inclusive strategy for the whole year. So thank you for that presentation. And thank you for the work you're doing too. There's some great retailers out there. Would our panel members, anyone else like to?
Yeah, because I got to run pretty soon. Jacob here. I want to speak to what Matt said, because I think he kind of nailed one of the things that is near and dear to my heart, is make your events fun. So whether it's bike decorating or we started an event, a gravel ride 10 years ago, and it's grown into a crazy thing. We do a theme every year, and it's always been music, like Iron Maiden, Guns N' Roses, Snoop Dogg. We do t-shirts and all that fun stuff. So this year, it's our 10th year anniversary. So we did the movie Rad. So we got all these t-shirts made up, and we did Rad trivia. So that's speaking to, I'm sorry, what she just said. Come up with creative stuff that the customers can get interactive with. And when they get interactive with you, you just formed a relationship. And I think that's how you grow that. Because it's not about I'm going to speak to this, Cleveland Touring Club's 900 people ride that never buy anything from you. But if you can do trivia with a guy over a bike movie on a snowy Sunday afternoon, that person or man or woman is going to come to you. So interactive.
I like it, and fun. Yeah, and I like your music choices, Jacob. That was cool. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. I'm going to have to run here, but
Thanks.
I think everybody did a great job on this panel. So thank everybody for me.
Thank you, Jacob. I will. Yeah.
Have a
Anyone
great
else-
day.
Thank you. Anyone else on the call have any ideas to share or thoughts about annual events?
Heather, would you mind if I commented on Daryl's question about the youth riding challenge that we have?
Please do. I was going to ask you to. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So I guess this is very important to us. We have a 5-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son, and well, I guess she's 6. She would be mad if I said she was 5, but she's getting really big into mountain biking in our community. So our idea is the more of her friends we can keep riding, the more revenue essentially it generates for us. So last year we started a youth riding challenge. In 2020, we actually did it with our entire community, where we encouraged them to ride 100 days in 100 miles in 100 days. And we had a big community event at the end where we gave away prizes, etc., things like that. So last year we incorporated it just specifically for the youth, encouraging youth to track their miles at. We knew not every kid would be able to get to the 100 miles. We knew those would be the kids whose parents were strong riders. But at 5 miles, I think they got a bike shop sticker. At 10 miles, we gave a water bottle. We just basically implemented a chart for kids to ride, keep track of their miles, and turn that in at a later date. And we incentivized our shop. At the end, they got a t-shirt that said, "We rode 100 miles with Ron's Bike Shop." It was really easy, low cost. So the idea was to get kids riding no matter what type of family situation they came from.
Courtney, that is absolutely awesome. I have goosebumps. Like, how cool to get kids to track their miles and like
Yeah,
out of
it's
it.
really easy. If you can use Excel, you can do this challenge. So
This is why I love these events, because we get all these great ideas. Thank you. Any other panel members want to jump in? Any other ideas, thoughts at this point? Our brains are probably just percolating. Well, then let's go to our third topic for today. This is about shop ambassadors. It's a topic that we have a lot of conversation. I've heard our retailers and our member mingles bring up the questions. Does anyone have shop ambassadors? How are they working? In our P2 groups, this has been a conversation as we're looking to expand our reach, and we're looking at our customers potentially being ambassadors. How are we measuring the effectiveness? So the question says, are shop ambassadors effectively driving the awareness and foot traffic that does actually impact your bottom line? And how can retailers better select and leverage them to clarify what they're looking for, that return on investment, and boost sales? So it's not just like, hey, be an ambassador for me. We want to make sure there's a good process in place. So George Lee from Rad Power Bikes has opted to be our speaker on this topic. George, thanks so much. I'm really looking forward to hear what you have to say.
Thanks, Heather. Haven't always been at Rad Power Bikes. Have been a career retailer for most of my life in the bicycle industry, and have tried and succeeded and tried and failed to set up ambassador programs. And the thing that is fundamental about them is that they do drive business if you have the right people in place. And what and how to find an ambassador, really you need an established community. If you try and find an ambassador and there's no community to engage with, then nothing happens, right? It just doesn't go anywhere. So that bedrock of a community with the great ideas that Courtney just went over, that youth challenge is excellent. I'm actually going to recommend it to a local bike shop here. And the stuff that Matt Adams talked about, is those are the foundational things that need to be in place before you can have an ambassador program. So often the best ambassadors actually come out of the group ride experience, whether it's a social ride or a more performance-based ride or long distance or training for an event or mountain bike race series. That's where you'll find your ambassadors. Now, a lot of people think an ambassador is somebody that's got a great online following, and they could be, but followers does not equal success. You're not looking for influencers or content creators. You're looking for people who are engaged in your local community. If they happen to have a good following online and they're really great at videos too, that's just the cherry on top. Really, ambassadors are there, and it's a program that is very people dependent on both sides. The store has to be engaged as well as the ambassador. You can't really create a program and hope to find an ambassador. So that's one of the mistakes that I've made before, is trying to roll out a program. So at Conti's is a great example. There's 21 locations along the East Coast. We tried to roll out an ambassador program in every store. In some stores it succeeded, in some stores it failed. And the stores it failed in were where somebody was selected that really wasn't the right fit. And that's really important. It's very people dependent. And if you have not already established an ambassador for your shop, you already know who your ambassador is if you have one. They're already engaged in your community. There's an alignment of values between the person that you choose and the business and the cycling experience. And there's somebody that would drop by the shop a lot just to say hi, maybe bring the team donuts or getting their bike fixed. They just hang out for hours and talk. And they're positive, they're engaging. If they're on a group ride, they're the heart and soul of the ride. They're the person that everybody's happy to see pull up. They've always got jokes and support for people. And you're riding up a long hill, they're there with you, just chatting away, keeping you engaged and feeling like you're part of the team. And they help to organize riders and events. They have ideas for your business. Some may be great, some might not be so great, but they're actively engaged. And here's a really important part. Your staff like them. Your staff have to like them or it's not going to work. Second most important part of it, your customers have to like them too. So likable. So then the question is, well, how do you recognize and reward them? And that's where, after trial and error, I've found some things that work really well. Once you've established who the person is, and that, you know, an annual demo bike. Every year, get them a bike. Work with a vendor. Ask the vendor to provide you a bike on demo terms for the year. The goal here is to get them on your good product. Don't skimp. Don't go with the $2,000 bike. Get them a $6,000 or $7,000 bike to use for the year. It's not their bike. You'll get it back at the end of the year. You can sell it. You still make money on it. You'll probably break even. So don't stress about that. Give them your latest kit if you don't already have one. If you have a fit-in program, make sure that they get a fit from your fitter so that they can be an advocate for that program. Set up a service plan for them for their bike. It's not really their bike, it's your bike, so you want to keep that in good shape. But set up a service plan and make sure they're bringing it in and getting it tuned up. None of that is really a cash loss. Try and do the bike fit in the off season and schedule the work on their bike around the needs of your paying customers. And remember, at the end of the year, that demo bike's yours, so the better shape it's in from you maintaining it, the easier it's going to be to sell it secondhand. What does the success look like in an ambassador program? Well, the ambassador takes over and they lead and grow attendance to your group rides and to your events in the store. Like I said before, if they're not a content creator, that's great. But if they are, they post about your rides and your business online and tag you and others, trying to raise awareness of things that you're doing that are exciting and fun and novel and engaging. The idea of a trivia night in the store is pretty cool, and an ambassador would help spread the word for that and get people engaged to come to that event, because the other people in the community, your customers, they like spending time with this person. I'm just going through my notes here. I just lost my place. Give me 1 second. Oh, people come to the store because of the advice from the ambassador. So the ambassador is not a salesperson in the traditional sense, but they are really, because they're helping to push your business and promote your stuff. That's why it's good to get them on the product that you want to sell. So that could be everything from shoes, helmets, jerseys, water bottles, energy products. It's all of those things. They're out there talking about the store and people are seeing what they use and they engage with it. They also engage in comments online that support your community and your business. So if you have a WhatsApp group, they're active in that. If you have a Facebook group, they're active in that, and they're commenting on anything that you're posting and resharing stuff that you're posting. Success also looks like this. Your staff love to help the ambassador. So I like to see the staff in the shop as the barometer of whether the ambassador is working or not. If you ever hear any complaints, that means it's not working and you should reassess that relationship, because customers are probably having the same reaction too, but not saying anything. I've got some do's and don'ts. I'll start with the don'ts. First of all, don't pay them. If you're having to pay them, the motivation is wrong and it's not going to work out long term. Never blame them for any poor attendance of rides. If it's a ride and it dwindles in ridership, it just means that that's not working. They're not the right person. But don't blame them, because they're a customer. You don't want to turn this person into somebody that advocates against you and has a network. Here's another don't, and Matt Adams actually already mentioned this earlier. Don't use a racer who wins and is well known, but is not well liked. There's a unicorn out there who is incredibly strong on a bike, wins all the local races, and is excellent at ambassadorship, but they're very few and far between. Your ambassadors are more likely to come from club rides than they are from race teams. Some of the do's, regularly engage them in your business decisions so they feel included. If you're considering bringing on a new brand or new product considerations, bring them in the loop, ask them how they feel about it, if they think it would work. If you've got event plans coming up, loop them into it to see if they have any input. They might not be throwing anything in there, but it's good to make them feel included. The level of value that that provides in terms of some kind of ownership only goes to extend how much they're going to talk about your business to the local community. When you're interviewing somebody to join your team, have them meet them too, even if it's for a casual coffee, just to get a read on whether or not they think they'll fit in with the values and the culture that's in your business. Do provide them with feedback on what the results are for you. So let them know, hey, you talked to Sam last week, she came in and she bought a road bike. Thank you very much for doing that. That type of recognition really helps. And if you let them know about it, it's only going to bolster their confidence in being your ambassador. Make sure you engage them online. And this is an oversight that can happen quite a lot because you've got a lot going on. If they're posting about a ride or they're making a comment about your business online or promoting it somehow, make sure you're liking it or resharing it or commenting on it and accepting any tag requests that they put in for you on social platforms, just to make sure that they feel like they're being heard. You can lose an ambassador pretty quickly if they don't feel valued or heard. It's just a relationship, right? That works for everybody. But promote them and your ride in all of your marketing. So don't just promote your ride, make sure that the ambassador is at front and center. If they're well liked by your community and they're well liked by your staff, that's only going to help grow ridership, even if it's from repeat riders coming out to join your events or your group rides or your races that you might be organizing. So there's some key takeaways here. If you're writing stuff down, I've got 5 points that I feel like are the most important. And I'm going to drop into the chat right now a message here real quick. If you want this as a document, just email me and I'll send this through to you. Here are the 5 points. You already have an ambassador, figure out who they are. 2, you need to build the community in partnership with the ambassador. 3, they need to be local and in your community. 4, people must like them. 5, they are the icing on the cake of your community. Thanks, Heather.
Excellent. Thank you, George. As always, super impactful. Lots of great takeaways in there. I saw lots of people taking down some notes, and I appreciate you dropping into the chat there your contact details for people who want to follow up. Any other panel members want to speak to the topic of ambassadors and having measurable impact for your shop? Excellent. All right. Well, that concludes our 3 topics for today. Very enlightened conversation that we did have over the last 70 minutes. We started with creating a nurturing community, nurturing a cycling community where there might not be one. And we had 3 speakers really talking about having an internal champion on your team, connecting with other communities nearby that may already have a cycling culture, stressing the importance of beginners and youth, asking your customers how you can help them, and leaning into local businesses. I would also, what we did not bring up in today's conversation is just the diversity of reaching out to e-bike cyclists, e-cyclists, and how that's expanded our ridership. So when we talk about youth, when we talk about beginners and inclusivity, I would also look to reach out to the e-bike users or people who are using their bikes for transportation. The second topic was annual events to boost ridership. Karen kicked us off with a great guide to events, all the considerations of what type of events, how to promote, and then how to follow up to maximize impact. Great presentation by Karen from Cardinal Bicycle in Virginia. We talked also with Courtney talking about ongoing event strategy and the importance of having a plan in place for a pre-event, day of event, and post-event. And then she gave some very granular ideas of events that she's doing, that they're doing at Ron's Bike Shop to really draw a sense of community and loyal customer base of all ages. And I think the Kids Cycling Challenge was one that really hit home for a lot of people there. And Matt Adams shared some ideas as well for that. And then finally, George wrapped us up with a great conversation on ambassadors and how we can use ambassadors to drive business to our store, and summarize that with the 5 tips. So having processes in place, and he did say that they do drive business if you have the right process in place. So I think that's really important to remember. So an absolutely fabulous discussion. I hope this has got us all energized, have got us all thinking about ways that we can increase ridership in our local community and beyond. Again, I can't stress the importance of this topic enough for our entire industry to get behind. So retailers, suppliers, advocates, we all need to have a large voice in growing ridership right now. So thanks to all of our panel members who volunteered their time, for our attendees for being here. We will take the recording of this that will go on our YouTube channel, and it'll also be on Bicycle Retail Radio, which is our podcast. So we'll be able to share this on multiple platforms. The next event we have scheduled is Thursday, July 10th, and about 30 days before that event, Megan from our team will reach out to our community and solicit topics for that event. So do look for those emails coming early June, and we hope to see you all back here in July. Thank you so much for all you do, and anything we can do to support, please reach out. Have a great afternoon, everyone.